Have you ever stood in the dressing room, one leg into those wide pants, and paused, thinking, is this me, or am I trying too hard to look like someone I used to be? It's a quiet kind of doubt. One we don't always say out loud, but oh, it lingers. This isn't about chasing trends. It's about chasing freedom. It's about feeling light again in our bodies, our clothes, our choices. It's about wearing something that finally fits who we are now, not just who we were. A few weeks ago, I ran into Lorraine, my old neighbor from Ohio. She's 70 now, just finished chemo, and wanted to treat herself to real pants. Not stretchy, not sad, just something elegant. She picked a pair of high-waisted navy wide legs. I watched her walk toward the mirror. She didn't smile at the pants, she smiled at herself. Later, over iced tea, she said, I felt like I had space again, not just in my waistband, but in my life. So let's talk about those pants, what works, what doesn't, and how a little softness and structure can bring back a version of you that feels both new and deeply familiar. Let's start with why wide pants might be exactly what your wardrobe and your spirit have been waiting for. Have you ever walked past your reflection in a store window and almost didn't recognize the woman staring back? Not because of age, but because she looked boxed in. Stiff clothes, tight waistband, no room to exhale. I know that feeling. It's not just physical discomfort, it's emotional too. Here's something no one tells us in our 60s. Wide leg pants aren't about hiding, they're about honoring. When chosen with care, they don't swallow us, they free us. The gentle drape, the forgiving shape, the way they move with you instead of against you, it's a quiet kind of elegance that doesn't need to shout. Let me tell you about Diane, a retired florist in Minnesota. She's 66 and used to wear only jeans, even in 90-degree heat, because pants with room made her feel bigger than she was. But one afternoon at her daughter's outdoor bridal shower, she wore a pair of ivory wide legs in soft linen. Paired with a pale blush blouse and delicate earrings, she looked radiant. She said later, "It was the first time in years I felt pretty and at ease." What many women fear most at our age isn't frumpiness, it's disappearing. And ironically, tight clothes that cling too close or try too hard often do just that. They erase our natural grace. Wide pants, when thoughtfully chosen, bring that back. They move, they breathe, they remind us. Comfort and confidence aren't a trade-off. I've worn wide pants in every version. At art galleries, on late grocery runs, and even slow Sunday brunches. Each time, I noticed something. I stood straighter, smiled sooner, and didn't fidget. Not because I looked younger, but because I felt like me again. Ease isn't laziness. It's wisdom woven into fabric. Now that we understand what wide pants can do for us, let's talk about what can ruin them. Because even the best pants lose their magic if the length is off. And, oh, have I learned that the hard way? Question for you. What's one outfit that made you feel unexpectedly at home in your own body? Let's talk about it in the comments. 2. The balance equation. Flow below, shape above, 2.5 foot. You know that moment. You're standing in front of the mirror, pants on, earrings in, and something just feels off. Not wrong, but unfinished. Like the outfit is saying too much down low and nothing up top. That's the quiet trap of wide leg pants. They offer softness, ease, even elegance, but only if we balance them right. When there's movement below, the top half needs a little structure to anchor it. Not stiffness, just presence. I remember meeting Teresa, 66, at a community garden potluck in Vermont. She was wearing soft linen trousers, pale green, breezy, beautiful. But she'd paired them with an oversized poncho tee. She looked comfortable, yes, but also like she wanted to disappear. Later that month, she invited me for tea. We played dress up in her closet, and all we did was switch to a cotton wrap blouse and added a pendant necklace. Same pants. But now her waistline reappeared, her posture changed, and so did her eyes. "I didn't know I could still look like this," she whispered. Here's the truth. Shape doesn't mean squeeze. It means remembering there's still a frame worth honoring. Soft below, shape above. It's not about symmetry. It's about being seen. In the next part, we'll look at the invisible magic of fabric, how texture can transform how we move, feel, and even breathe. But before we get there, what's the one top in your closet that always makes you feel pulled together, no matter what you wear below? Have you ever walked past a store window, caught your own reflection, and thought, why do my legs look shorter today? And then you look down, and it's those wide pants again, same pair that felt elegant last week. But now they're dragging, folding, swallowing your ankles. It's wild how 1/4 of an inch, the tiniest shift, can quietly reshape everything. The truth is, wide pants don't need to be hemmed dramatically, but they do need to be right. Too long, and they drown you. Too short, and they cut you off at the shin. The sweet spot? Right at the top of your shoe for full length, or gently above the ankle bone for cropped. That's where grace lives. Let me tell you about Denise, 69, a retired music teacher from Portland. She bought a beautiful pair of cream white legs for her niece's rehearsal dinner, fluid fabric, perfect drape. But when she tried them on at home, she panicked. "They make me feel dumpy," she told me. I asked her to stand still while I pinned the hem just 1/2 inch up. We didn't touch anything else. When she looked back in the mirror, her mouth dropped. "That's it? Just that?" she said, laughing through tears. At our age, we've earned the right to details. We've learned that life is made in inches, in kindness, in timing, in tailoring. I've had pants that sat untouched for years. And it wasn't my body's fault. It was a hem that whispered lazy instead of intentional. The right length doesn't just flatter your legs, it lifts your energy. Coming up, we'll explore how fabric, more than trend, defines how confident or clumsy we feel in wide pants. But first, have you ever hemmed a pair of pants and been surprised how much taller or prouder you felt? Some mornings, the outfit looks perfect on the hanger. But the moment you slip it on, something inside you stiffens. It's not the color, not the cut, it's the feel. As if the fabric is holding its own posture, but not yours. The right fabric doesn't just drape, it listens. Wide leg pants, when made in the wrong material, rigid denim, stiff cotton, can feel more like structure than softness. They cling in places they shouldn't, crease where you bend, and somehow make you feel like you have to stand a little straighter to earn your place in them. But when you find a pair in linen, modal, or soft crepe, everything changes. They move when you move. They whisper instead of shout. They let your day flow, not fight. A woman I met last summer, Miriam, 66, from Santa Fe, told me how she used to avoid anything too soft. She thought structure meant polish. Then one day, after a long lunch with friends, she realized she'd been tugging at her waistband the whole afternoon. "I felt like I was wearing someone else's idea of elegance," she said. We walked into a little local boutique, and she tried on a pair of dusty blue linen trousers. No mirrors needed. She just stood still for a moment and said, "This feels like breathing." At this point in life, we deserve clothes that don't ask us to behave. We deserve ease, inside and out. From my own closet, I've learned that the softest fabrics often hold the strongest parts of us: grace, wisdom, presence. What matters most isn't how fabric looks on us, but how it lets us feel in our own skin. The best clothes don't just fit our shape, they honor our softness. In the next part, we'll look at something even more intimate: the waistline, and why it should hold us without ever squeezing us. But first, which fabric has ever made you sigh in relief the moment you put it on? And which one still lingers in your closet because you think you should love it, even if you don't? Do you remember the first time pants stopped feeling like freedom and started feeling like a fight? I do. It was a summer garden party. I put on my favorite linen wide legs, one soft, forgiving, but somewhere along the years, my body had changed, and the waistband no longer understood me. By the time dessert came, I was standing more than sitting. Not for socializing, but because the waistband was winning. It wasn't tight, but it was unyielding. And that quiet discomfort, it slowly stole my joy that day. See, a waistband isn't just a band of fabric. It's where our outfits first speak to our midlife needs. It either supports us gently or reminds us sharply that we're not who we used to be. And that's the problem, isn't it? So many pants are still made for our 25-year-old shapes, not our real, soft, wise, beautiful now selves. Let me tell you about Marcia, 66, who volunteers at the Botanical Garden in Santa Rosa. She told me, "I've stopped wearing pants unless I'm gardening in leggings." Why? Because everything cuts into me or falls off. I'm tired of choosing between breathing and looking pulled together. One day, I brought her a pair of wide-leg trousers with a flat front and a hidden elastic back. She hesitated, but when she slipped them on, she didn't reach for a long tunic to hide. She turned, smiled, and said, "I feel supported, not stuffed." That's the quiet magic of the right waistband. Not too tight, not too loose. Just a soft structure that adapts to your real shape without judgment. Here's what to look for: a higher rise, especially if your lower belly has softened over time. It gives gentle coverage and elongates the line. A flat front, so your top lies smooth, no bulk or bumps. A stretch back or side, not the bulky kind from the 80s, but a clean modern elastic that moves with you. Or a drawstring, when done well, that offers ease and intention. Because at this stage of life, our waistlines don't need control. They need compassion. In my own closet, I've let go of pants that made me feel punished for living, for aging, for expanding, and I've kept the ones that expand with me, quietly, beautifully. A kind waistband doesn't hold you in. It holds space for who you are now. Next, we'll go deeper, because what sits beneath it all, shapewear, slips, and silent discomforts, they have more power over our presence than we think. But first, can I ask, when was the last time you put on pants and forgot about them? Not because they disappeared, but because they simply worked? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your waistline wins and the ones you quietly unbuttoned halfway through lunch. We've all been there, my friend. Some mornings, the hardest decision isn't what to wear, it's what to wear it with. You slip into wide pants that flow just right. And then you look down at your shoes and the whole outfit stumbles. It's too clunky, or too dainty, or worse, just confused. What's underneath, quite literally, sets the tone. And the wrong shoes, they don't just trip up your look. They trip up your confidence. A few weeks ago, my friend Diane, 70, showed up to Sunday brunch in this beautiful navy pair of linen wide legs. The pants were perfect, light, graceful, but her old black orthopedic sneakers, though practical, made the entire outfit feel heavier than it was. I didn't say anything at the time, but later, over tea, she said, "I don't know why I felt frumpy today. I was excited when I got dressed." It wasn't the pants, it was the foundation. So here's the key truth. Shoes don't just finish the look, they ground it, and they guide the mood. Wide pants ask for balance, something with intention, structure, and just a hint of lightness. Let me share a few combinations that always work and why. Pointed toe flats. They peek from under the hem and elongate the leg without adding bulk. Especially lovely in suede, soft leather, or even a quiet print. Block heels. Think gentle lift without the wobble. These support the fluidity of wide pants with a subtle vertical line, ideal for dinners, concerts, or community events. Platform espadrilles. My personal summer favorite. They give lift, comfort, and that breezy, "I got this" energy. Sleek sneakers. Not the gym ones. Think minimal white, beige, or blush. Paired with cotton wide legs and a tucked tee. Quiet magic. What to avoid? Heavy soles, over-embellished sandals, or anything that swallows your ankle. These weigh the outfit down and steal your movement. I used to keep one pair of black shoes for everything. But with wide pants, I learned it's not about owning more shoes. It's about choosing the right ones with care. The right shoes don't just carry you, they live the story of your outfit. And speaking of quiet support, let's talk about what's under everything. Not the shoes or the pants, but the invisible layers no one sees. And yet, they change how we carry ourselves. Before we go there, tell me in the comments, which shoes make you feel anchored but elegant? And which ones have you retired for good? I'll be reading every word. We've walked a lot of miles, haven't we? Some mornings, it's not the outfit that delays us, it's the voice. You know the one. The soft but sharp whisper, "Does this make me look like I'm trying too hard? Am I dressing for the day ahead or for the woman I used to be?" I used to believe confidence was something you arrived at, like a destination. If I wore the right pants, picked the right shoe, found the perfect top, I'd step into it like a finished room. But the older I get, the more I understand that confidence is not a place, it's a conversation. One that changes with the light, the season, the chapter you're in, quiet, ongoing, and so deeply personal. Let me tell you about Martha. We met in Vermont at a community watercolor class. She was 73. Sharp, observant, gentle in her gestures, but she hadn't worn anything with color in over a year. "I just reach for what covers me now," she said softly, as if confessing to someone she used to be. She had retired recently, lost her husband not long before that, downsized her home, closed the studio where she'd once painted scarves from her travels. Her closet, she told me, had become a row of grays and soft blacks, things that didn't ask questions. One afternoon, after class, she brought out a pair of dusty rose wide-leg pants from her bag. "Peter used to say, these made me look like I was dancing, even when I stood still." She didn't know why she kept them, or maybe she did. She just needed someone to hold the silence long enough for her to say it aloud. I didn't give her advice. I just asked, what would it feel like to wear them again? Not to be seen, but to remember. She smiled, but tears welled up. The following week, she wore those pants, paired them with a navy blouse and white loafers, No accessories, just herself, hair undone. And when she walked in, the whole room paused, not because of what she wore, but because of how she carried herself in it. That day, she whispered to me, I didn't need new clothes. I needed permission. And that stayed with me ever since. Because that's the truth, isn't it? At 60, 65, 70, we don't need more trends. We need more tenderness. Not judgment from the mirror, but recognition. Wide pants may seem like a detail, but when worn with self-respect, they create space. Not just around our hips, but inside our hearts. They allow for movement, grace, breath. They don't hug too tight. They don't demand attention. They simply flow and let us show up as we are. Sometimes what you need isn't a cut that flatters, but a choice that feels honest. Confidence isn't something we put on. It's something we return to gently, again and again. So I ask you, what piece in your closet carries your story? And what would it mean to wear it? Not to go back, but to come home to yourself. Let's keep going, because the next piece we'll talk about is the one that quietly shapes the whole silhouette, the shoes that ground us. But before we step there, what's one outfit that made you feel most like you? And do you still let yourself wear it? Do you remember the last time you switched handbags? Not for function, but because something inside you had shifted. It's strange, isn't it? How something so practical ends up holding so much more than lip balm and reading glasses. We don't talk enough about our bags. We talk about shoes, pants, even earrings. But our handbags, those quiet companions, say more about who we are than we often realize. They sit by our feet at dinner, hang on the chair at the doctor's office, rest on the pew beside us at church. They go where we go, and they hold what we don't always know we need. Let me tell you about Renee. She's 67, lives outside Asheville, and volunteers at a local food co-op. One day, over chamomile tea, she pulled out an old leather satchel, worn smooth on the corners. "This bag's been with me since my divorce," she said, smiling without bitterness. "It held my first resume in 20 years, a roll of breath mints, and a letter I never sent. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't trendy, but it had weight. Not the kind that pulled at her shoulder, but the kind that made her feel anchored. That bag reminded her she could rebuild. She could show up. She could carry her life on her own terms." Now, when I choose a bag, I don't ask just, does it match? I ask, does it serve me gently? Does it allow me to be hands-free when I need to hold my grandchild's hand? Does it open easily when I'm fumbling for tissues during a movie? Does it make me feel organized, prepared, respected? For wide pants, the secret lies in structure. A slouchy tote on top of flowy fabric can drown your presence. But a clean-lined crossbody or a medium-structured shoulder bag creates balance. It frames your midsection. It moves with you, not against you. And just like a good friend, it doesn't steal the spotlight. But it never lets you down. I once had a bag that made me feel small. Too trendy, too young for me, like I was borrowing someone else's life. And I've had one that made me feel utterly myself. It was soft brown, with a hidden inner pocket I used to tuck away a tiny quote from my mother. "You are enough, exactly as you are." You see, what we carry on the outside should reflect what we carry on the inside. Grace, strength, a readiness for life's unexpected turns. A handbag is not just an accessory, it's a companion. It holds your keys, your past, your tissues, your courage. As I sip my tea now, I look at the bag hanging on the back of my chair and I smile. It's not fancy, but it's me. And that's more than enough. The right bag doesn't complete your outfit, it carries your becoming. And speaking of becoming, let's step gently into our last reflection. Because it's not just about the pants, the shoes, or the bag. It's about the way you show up, whole, present, and quietly radiant. Question for the heart. Which bag has held not just your things, but your story? So here we are, dear friend. We walk gently through fabrics that move with kindness, waistlines that support, not squeeze, hems that whisper polish, shoes that carry not just feet, but mood. We looked not just at what fits your shape, but what honors your story. This wasn't about chasing approval or trends. It was about permission. Permission to be seen, to soften, to return to yourself. Maybe this Saturday morning, as the light spills through your kitchen window, you reach into your closet and pull out that pair you always thought were too much. Try them again with quieter eyes. Fold the hem. Add a blouse that brushes your skin like a kind word. Choose the shoes that make you stand just a little taller. And when you catch your reflection, pause. Don't adjust. Don't apologize. Just notice. You belong here. In this season. In these clothes. In your skin, which pair made you feel most like you? And which one sat in the back of the drawer, not because it failed, but because you didn't give yourself the chance to feel beautiful again? Send this to a sister, a friend, a neighbor who's been dressing only to disappear. Remind her, it's not about looking young, it's about looking true. And that never goes out of date. I'll be right here, as always. Tea on the table, soft pants on, the window open just enough to let in a breeze and a memory. And this quiet thought, which I carry for you as much as for myself. You don't wear wide pants to make a statement. You wear them to come home to yourself.